The screech of tires and the wail of sirens still rang in Fire Chief Jonathan Rourke's ears as he pulled into his driveway after a grueling 14-hour shift. He had just led his team through a dangerous warehouse blaze on the industrial outskirts of Parkfield, a fire that nearly collapsed the roof over 3 of his crew. 2 hours of sleep, 3 bitter cups of gas station coffee, and a heart full of hard-earned pride were all that kept him moving. Everyone had made it home alive. That was enough for now. The early evening sun cast long, honey-colored shadows across his quiet suburban street. He reached for the door handle of his Fire Command Unit's mobile office, his lifeline during disasters, a rig federally designated for emergency response, and grabbed nothing but air. The truck was gone. For a full 2 seconds, Jonathan just stood there blinking, stunned. The driveway was smooth, freshly raked, with faint tire tracks fading across the concrete like ghost prints. He turned slowly, checking the curb, the street, the side of the house. Nothing. Then his gaze caught the bright, yellow notice taped to the front door. Block letters, printed in all caps, declared, "Notice of tow. Your vehicle has been removed for violating the HOA's visual compliance standards. Non-conforming vehicles will be towed at the owner's expense. Redwood Oaks HOA enforcement." His soot-streaked brow furrowed. He snatched the paper and read it twice, 3 times, as if repetition would change the meaning. But it didn't. Jonathan wasn't just a guy with a parked truck. That wasn't just a vehicle. It was a certified mobile command post equipped with advanced communication systems, hazmat response maps, trauma supplies, and a digital city schematic detailing every hydrant, access road, and gas line. And the HOA had it towed for visual noncompliance. He clenched the paper, his jaw tightening as disbelief gave way to fury. A curtain twitched across the street. A garage door creaked shut 2 houses down. And then came the voice, sharp, nasal, and Smug had hoped was a hallucination. Well, finally, came the words from the sidewalk. "Somebody's cleaning up that eyesore." He turned and saw her, Meredith Crane, president of the Redwood Oaks HOA. A khaki linen blouse buttoned to the throat, clipboard clutched like a sword, and the posture of someone who had just conquered a foreign kingdom. Her lips curled into a self-satisfied smile. "That truck has been dragging down property values for years," she chirped. "I had it handled." "You're welcome." "That truck," Jonathan said slowly, each word slicing through the warm suburban air, "is a state-certified, federally documented mobile command unit. Removing it isn't just illegal, it's dangerous." Meredith rolled her eyes. "Then maybe you should park it somewhere people don't have to look at it while sipping their morning coffee." Before Jonathan could form a reply, his radio crackled. "Chief Rourke, we've got a 1090 on a possible chemical incident at Parkway Middle. Hazmat is en route. Command requested on-site immediately." His blood ran cold. Parkway Middle. Hundreds of students. Dozens of staff. And his command vehicle, the hub for on-site coordination, emergency relay, and life-saving logistics, was gone. He yanked the handheld radio from his belt, but its range was limited. His laptop containing detailed layouts and access codes had been in the truck. He bolted to his personal car, mind racing, hands trembling not from fatigue anymore, but from dread. Meredith stood there, smirking as he drove off. She didn't know, didn't care that she'd just potentially compromised a time-sensitive emergency response. She saw only a truck, not what it meant. At the scene, Jonathan did what fire chiefs do. He adapted. He coordinated. He found workarounds. But without his command rig, setup lagged. Communications stuttered with interference. Radio signals clashed. Hazmat and EMS stumbled over missing details. Every second wasted burned like an ember pressed into skin. That night, after the fire was contained and the last child was accounted for, Jonathan sat on the hood of a soot-streaked ambulance, helmet on the ground, arms limp at his sides. The exhaustion that had weighed on him all day had morphed into something colder. Rage. The following morning, before the impound lot even opened, Jonathan stood at its gates in full dress uniform, hat tucked under his arm, badge polished to a gleam. The lot manager, busy with a powdered donut and barely awake, barely looked up. "Name?" Chief Jonathan Rourke. I'm here for my city vehicle. The man blinked. You mean the red rig with the light bar? That's the one. He was led past rows of broken-down sedans to where the truck sat dusty, deactivated, stripped. The emergency beacon was unplugged, tossed carelessly in the back seat. The dash-mounted computer housing years of mapping data was gone. Jonathan took out his phone. Snap, snap, snap. Who authorized this tow? He asked without raising his voice. The manager shrugged. Lady from the HOA. Said it was just some junk truck sitting on private property. We didn't know it was, fire stuff. Well, now you do, Jonathan said calmly. And I need you to prepare a statement. This just became a legal matter. By noon, he was at City Hall, seated across from Assistant City Attorney Leah Sanderson. She was sharp, precise, and exhausted in the way only civil servants could be. You're saying they towed an operational emergency vehicle? She asked, staring at the photos he laid on the table. Towed and dismantled it. Without city authorization. Leah's eyes widened. That's tampering with emergency assets. It's not just overreach. It's a crime. We opening a case? She nodded slowly. Oh, we're opening a case. Word spread through Redwood Oaks faster than a summer grass fire. Some neighbors stopped Jonathan on the sidewalk to apologize, to express support. Others whispered behind closed blinds. No one openly defended Meredith, not yet. That night, the HOA meeting was packed. Jonathan didn't arrive in turnout gear. He arrived in his formal fire uniform, the braid on his shoulder glinting under fluorescent lights. He carried a thick municipal code book and a file of evidence. Jonathan, Meredith greeted sweetly, seated like a throned queen at the head of the table. I hope we can resolve this misunderstanding. Oh, I'm here to resolve something, he replied. I'm here to inform you that your board violated multiple municipal ordinances, at least 2 state emergency protocols, and 1 federal clause related to emergency infrastructure. The room fell silent. You didn't just tow a truck, he continued. You compromised a public safety response that may have led to injuries. You endangered lives. A gasp. And next time we speak, it won't be here, he said. It'll be in court. He turned and walked out. No need to slam the door. The weight of his words was thunder enough. Over the following days, the fallout grew. The story hit local news. HOA tows fire command truck, delays school fire response. Photos of the stripped vehicle flashed across screens. Social media caught fire. Stories poured in about HOA abuses from across the state. But then came the breakthrough. Claudia Medina, a former HOA board member who had resigned months earlier, contacted Jonathan. They met at a cafe where she handed him a folder full of emails, invoices, and transcripts. One email stood out. Meredith's directive to the towing company. I don't care if it's the Pope's truck. That red thing is gone before the open house tour next week. Make it happen. Not about compliance. Not about safety. It was about image. With that, Jonathan had what he needed. Intent. The next emergency HOA meeting billed by Meredith as a clarification session drew a crowd. Flyers had promised it was all a misunderstanding. But Jonathan walked in with receipts. He laid them on the table. This isn't about a truck, he said. It's about deliberate obstruction of emergency services. And I have the proof. When Claudia stood and confirmed it, the room erupted. Residents shared their own stories. Meredith's empire cracked, then crumbled. Within a week, the city froze all HOA modifications. Then came the financial audit discovering kickbacks to a shell company tied to Meredith's son, fake maintenance invoices, and more. She was removed by unanimous vote. Jonathan didn't celebrate. He got back to work restoring the truck, rebuilding trust, collaborating with a new board led by a transparent, community-driven leader named Elise Tran. 2 weeks later, at a firehouse barbecue for the neighborhood, a new sign was mounted near the driveway. Reserved for Chief Rourke. Unauthorized towing triggers full city response. Jonathan laughed when he saw it. For the first time in weeks, it wasn't fire in his chest. It was relief. Eventually, the city filed formal charges. Meredith was prosecuted for obstruction, misappropriation of HOA funds, and tampering with municipal assets. The trial was swift and brutal. Jonathan's testimony clear, steady, irrefutable sealed her fate. The verdict was read. Guilty. She was barred from HOA leadership for a decade in order to pay restitution. And still, Jonathan didn't gloat. He focused on outreach, leading monthly safety reviews, educating communities, making sure no other HOA repeated Redwood Oaks mistakes. One night, he found a note in his mailbox. No signature. You win, but you ruined everything I built. Jonathan folded it, tucked it into his desk, and said nothing. Meredith hadn't built community. She had built control, and control doesn't last. At the next community event, a little girl in a cardboard vest walked up and handed him a drawing of a fire truck with the words, "Thank you for being brave." Jonathan smiled. Sometimes you fight fire with water. Sometimes with patience, facts, and truth. But the most powerful force? A neighborhood that finally decided enough was enough. And this time, the fire chief wasn't going anywhere.